Well, hello, hello. Top of the evening, morning, afternoon to you, whatever time you may be watching. Jack Willard here. Was halfway through typing the stream notes for this live broadcast, this live stream, Worldwide Ramblings, when I realized I hadn't plugged the camera in. So that means you got to start from the beginning. It's not just a matter of plugging it in. No, you've got to start all over at that point. That's just the way it is. So welcome, doppelgangers, because after all, nothing really exists unless you believe it to be so. You ever see those videos from the rabbit hole? Oh, there's some weird stuff there. That's on, is that on YouTube or Facebook? I think YouTube, but maybe both. Mr. Slim Jiggy is here. Hi, Mr. Slim Jiggy. Tammy with an I. We said hello to Elaine Peterson and Jane Justice. Jane Justice as well. Nice to have you aboard, Elaine. And Jane Justice. Also, Brenda Noyce is here. People are saying hello to Karen. I don't know if she's watching over there. I don't know. What am I competing with on Saturday night? I'm not quite sure. We did some chores today. We went over to the Soon's Orchard and Dollar Tree. It's getting more expensive at the Dollar Tree, but still reasonable. But people come in and complain, oh, no more dollar, then no more $1.25. There is some $1.25, but now there's a lot more 150s and up, I can understand. They have a better selection now, too, and it's still going to be cheaper than if you buy it somewhere else. So welcome, Tammy. And Shirley Chambers. Hello, everyone. Hi, Shirley. What's going on with you? Nice to have you aboard. Cajun Calvin is here as well. We have a Cajun Calvin visit to Household of Faith video up here. June Joyner. Hello, Jack and all. Hi. Nice to have you. What is it? It is the 2nd of August, right? I believe it is. 2025. Barbara Kendall is here. Hi, Jack and everyone. And our family, really. I don't see anybody that I really don't recognize. 53 watching. So if you haven't signed in, please do. Let us know where you're watching, too. Always like to know where you're watching. Already 6 likes. Thank you for hitting that like button. Very important. And the notification bell. I mean, sometimes we pop on with breaking news, and if you don't catch it right then, it may not be relevant by the time you see it, like those 150 Bob Joyce tickets that they released out of the blue. They found 150 more tickets for general admission, and then they added a meet and greet for Thursday. Now, the first time I read the copy, I just never checked the calendar. You think I would learn by now because other people get confused. They had it as a Thursday night concert, October the 10th. But if I would have looked at the calendar, I would have seen October the 10th was a Friday. I hate mistakes like that. And I've got to remember to double check. That's very important. They tell you that in radio. Well, I asked for somebody new, and my wish has been granted. Let's see if they're friend or foe. Carmen, love that name. Wadwenny. No. Wadhenny. Wadhannel. Taking me a while to get it, Carmen, because in my 69 years on this planet, I have never, ever seen that last name before. So you must be some kind of unique. What's the origins of that name? Wadwenny. I'll I'll pronounce it just every way possible. I would like to know from Canada. I was listening to Bob Joyce. He sounds just like Elvis. Really? You think so? You're not one of those conspiracy theorists, are you there, Carmen? Because, we get real tired of them around here thinking that there's this guy in Benton who's 90 years old. He doesn't look 90 years old. He doesn't sound like him that much, really. And the people who say that are full of donkey dust. These are the ones that really believe it, but they have a self-appointed mission to be a protector. And, so they come on to try to convince an audience that they're never going to convince. So let me see. So I've been doing this since 2018. So I got a lot of videos up here at the Virtual Church of the Disillusioned. I can answer specific questions, I'd like to know from Canada. Yes, yes, yes. I lived in Montreal in 1964 for 6 months. I was listening to Bob Joyce. I bet you were looking at him too, or were you just listening to his music on Spotify? Or if you were listening on YouTube, you'd see him. But Spotify, you just hear him. He sounds just like Elvis. Well, yeah, doesn't he? And one of type slowly, Carmen. He never said he was an Elvis. Well, if you go to the church website, because he's the pastor of Household of Faith in Benton, Arkansas, you will find, as you look through the pages, a 2017 qualified denial, which we have talked about many times, So we talk about that in videos like The Verdict, my most popular video, just about 250,000 views now. And the top 50 reasons why Bob Joyce may be Elvis, and other videos. So he's been doing this since 2011, and it's been a story since 2011. So we go through all the ins and outs, even his either son. I even did a video which is still up from a number of years ago, reasons why he may not be Elvis, that kind of thing. So we've covered every angle, but we keep coming back to the strong possibility that he is Elvis Presley. And I would say about 90% of the people here or more believe that. Sorry, Mr. Mike. Back in the old days, you'd hit the microphone like if you were, this is when I was a radio DJ. You hit the microphone and the listeners would hear a boom. But this Australian technology from Rode is superior to that, and that was a much more expensive microphone I was using. So Rode has my endorsement as a good company, and a lot of podcasters use Rode, if you haven't noticed. Carmen, you're just across the Detroit River from me, says Brenda Noyce. I'm watching from West Tennessee, says Tammy. It was a gorgeous day here, too. 5-star. It was like 76 degrees. We got a nice break from the heat that was earlier this week. Just a wonderful day in New York. We were out there in the gazebo in the evening listening to the Saturday night polka party with Jimmy Sturr, and Karen was giving me her usual encouragement. Can you turn that down? Can you turn that down? She says, I blast the polkas too loud. Miss Hockenberry 92. Good evening, Jack and everyone. I hope everyone is well and enjoying their weekend. Hope that is true. Jack, we have barbecued ribs, chicken, cheeseburgers, potatoes, baked beans, watermelons. It's 82 here. Sounds good. Good. What kind of sauce do you use now? Do you use that thin sauce that they would use down south? I mean, it's like water. Or do you use a thicker sauce? Do you like the Sweet Baby Ray's? What kind of sauce? Or you're going to say you make your own. Nancy and Terry Whitmore in memoriam. Terry Whitmore, good evening, Jack. Good evening. Well, here's Miss Nancy. Hi, Nancy. What's going down in Oklahoma? Hello, Jack and family. Polka and Cajun music sounds similar, as does Mexican music in some cases. You got the accordion and what have you. There's some. Um, I'd have to listen more to Cajun music. Who would you recommend that I listen to? Cajun Calvin, Alex. It's been a while since we've seen you. Oh, I feel like I'm straining my neck here. Bring the mic out further. Yeah, I made potato salad today. Cooked 5 potatoes. I love my potato salad. And don't buy that stuff that they sell in the deli, in the case across from the where they slice the meats. It's always garbage. Always. So is the coleslaw, so is the macaroni salad. I don't know what they're doing there, but it's real hard to find. Yeah, we got a place called Tom's Deli here, and once you've had their potato salad, it's it's cannot be beat. But it's hard to get there. They often run out. They keep limited hours sometimes because he has a secondary home in Canada. I mean, Canada, in Florida, but he ain't going there too much this time of year. I tell you what, a little too hot there right now. Why would he go to Florida when we had 76 degrees today, and sunshine on my shoulders? It makes me happy. Jack, I made all my own stuff. Well, of course you did. Of course you did, Brenda. Well, that must mean you're feeling a little better, and that's real good news. Tessie is here as well. Wayne Toops sings Cajun music. And what is that word? Zydeco. Is that disco, but for a special ethnicity? It's the best I could do. So I'll write down Wayne Toops. Of course, I can't play it here because I just cut it in real time. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Sometimes when I do a pre-recorded video, they'll let me do it. Maybe I can't monetize it, but then it just becomes my gift to you if I really want you to hear something, and they'll let it happen. The danger there is they can say yes in the beginning, and then the person who owns the song can come down heavy, and before you know it, you got a copyright strike. So there's all these things to keep in my medulla and my cerebellum. Neo, I made a good coleslaw too. Well, here's the deal, Neo. I don't want no stringy coleslaw. And what's the magic ingredient to have people come back for more? I mean, KFC has been doing it now for 50 years. What do you have to have in your coleslaw to make it addicting? Tell me, Neil. Tell me. But in terms of the kind of coleslaw, I want it like KFC, where you can just like scoop it. And there's several places here, but the Coney Island restaurant, nothing to do with Coney Island Amusement Park in Brooklyn, makes a good coleslaw. Buddy Daniel, beautiful day in Coleman, Alabama. So you actually live there. No wonder you're going to see Bob Joyce. Bob Joyce on November the 10th, a Friday, as we're finding out now. Nobody had pointed that out to me that I had that wrong. And then I found that out. And so Thursday, they added a meet and greet for Thursday. And it's going to be a little informal get together after, he greets everybody and signs their picture and stuff. Not all the merch will be there. And that's $125. I don't know if that's completely sold out yet, but if I had to guess, I'd say yes, but you don't get a concert. What I would do is I just have a little piano there, and after everybody has greeted the pastor, I'd sit down there and I'd just by myself, and a microphone and a speaker, I would do a couple of songs. That's what I would do. That's why then everybody's satisfied that they got to hear him sing, So that would be a good way, I would think. I have salada salad, vinegar, and a very small amount of powdered chili. That's that's not coleslaw. I mean, what are you gonna do? Put hot fudge in your spaghetti sauce? I mean, it may taste good, but I won't accept that it's a coleslaw. I mean, coleslaw is coleslaw. Karen is famous for adding weird stuff sometimes to things. And I'm always saying there's just not enough mayo in this macaroni salad because Andy doesn't like a lot of mayo. This is the stuff I've had to deal with for 15 years. Um, but the thing about that, you got to be fair about it. You can add mayo, you can't take it out. It's the same thing if something is too salty. Make it not salty enough, and then I'll just use the salt shaker. Then everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. Jane, I put sugar in my coal with vinegar. That is the magic ingredient, Brenda Noyce. Sugar. That is what made KFC coleslaw huge for the last 50 years. Sugar. And by the way, if you go and buy some coleslaw and there's no green color to it, what do they do with the best part of the cabbage? What do they do with the green? I want some green in there. It should not be all white, you know? How do people mess that up? Paul Newman coleslaw dressing, y'all. Well, if it's from Paul Newman, the Paul Newman products are good. The pizza's good. I've had the various pizzas like the margarita pizza from Paul Newman. Very good. All goes to charity. And coleslaw dressing. That's interesting. Homemade mayo with my farm fresh eggs. Now, are you going to be as good as the Hellmann's? Oh, it's better. I know they were saying. The only mayo that I really don't like is Kraft, and I ain't going for salad dressing. What do you call that? The Miracle Whip. No, 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 no. I use mayo as well. I hope so. Just a salad, the salada, you're saying, the salada vinegar. I don't want vinegar in my coleslaw, man. Instead of regular vinegar, I have used powdered honey, shredded cabbage, and carrots. You can get away with a little bit of bits of carrots. I don't mind that. I think you might even find that. Do you find that in KFC? I don't know. But coleslaw is a funny thing. It's a funny thing because I've had so many experiences with coleslaw from a diner or what have you. Not edible. Not edible. Prefer Kraft to Hellmann's. Well, now, Neil, we know that we have to check you into Bellevue down in New York City if you think Kraft is better than Hellmann's. Now, I'm a little suspicious, Neil. We may have to, perform some tests. Don't worry. We will put you out during the procedure. I like, what would you call what KFC does to the cabbage? It's like granular. It's, to me, it's just so good. I don't like raisins in my coleslaw. No, that's another person trying to be creative. I can deal with raisins in my rice pudding, maybe, but really, no. We go down to Florida, New York, just about a quarter of a mile from Jimmy Stirr's house. There's the what do they call it? Something deli. I haven't been there in a while, forgetting the name of it. But oh man, they sell so much rice pudding. It's just traditional, like my mom used to make. When I'm down there, I get 2 pounds of it because I know, I'm not going to go to Florida, New York every day. Yeah, Karen bought Duke's Jane Justice in the little bottle where you like mustard or something. Duke's is fine. I mean, I only had it once or twice, but it was okay. And then there's Mike's. Mike's seems okay. That's in this neck of the woods. Well, hello, Ernesto Tubidin. I think he's still alive. He's alive. He's alive. Well, a lot of people would agree with you if we're talking about who I think. Where are you from, Ernesto? Where are you watching us from tonight? I put green pepper, carrots, some vinegar, and mayo, Brenda. Green peppers. Well, some people put a little bit of peppers in their potato salad. Yeah. Again, if it's really chopped up really, really fine, I won't mind that. We both worked in the hospitality industry. GPL. When he made it, I would eat a soup bowl full of it, huh? Wow. Sue Pelham, who does not live on the Pelham Parkway, KFC coleslaw is the best. Well, thank you, Sue. Come on now. And you know, if it's sugar, I swear if they took the sugar out, people wouldn't say that. I can't make it worth a flip. A lot of people can't get that kind of granular texture to their coleslaw. I don't know if you need a special machine for that, but that's the way I like it. That's the way I like it. That's the way. Get down tonight. Get down tonight. Should I sing Boogie Shoes next? Oh, KC. I hope he's lost some weight. We have a KC video up here. He's getting too heavy in the tummy and everywhere else. You know, come on now. He still draws crowds, you know, KC and the Sunshine Band. He does. And so Highland Justice, welcome, welcome, welcome. Most dressing for coleslaw is basically mayo. There's that word vinegar again. You say vinegar, and possibly sugar or honey, and maybe salt. Okay. Buddy McDaniel says, Bama mayonnaise is really good. Well, that must be your neck of the woods, because I have never heard of Bama mayo. To me, with Hellman's, I mean, why mess with success? You know, for the last, well, all my life, it's been the number one mayo. You know, let's face it, number one with a bullet. But in some regional areas, that would not be the case. That would not be the case. We had cooked cabbage with pork necks. Oh boy. Do you eat tongue, Cajun Calvin? Do you eat tongue? Do you eat pig's knuckles? Oh, you're in Utah, Ernesto. My grandkids are near in Vermal. I'm from the Philippines. Well, check out my brother, because I was always told I might have one there. Yeah, his name would be John, and his last name would be the same as mine. Because my father was, I want to say, in the Merchant Marines. I know you think I should know for sure, but he was 11 when I passed away, and I never got to interview him. I saw him on the weekends. He was a New York City plumber. So let me know if you find John Willard in the Philippines. Well, you're not there anymore, but if you were, I chop my cabbage very fine, and my dressing is a half cup of Hellman's mayo. We're doing good, Nancy. What more? 2 tablespoons of sugar. There it is. And 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Yummy. Well, maybe the sugar disguises the vinegar, so I'm not noticing it. That could be. Linda gives a vote for Hellman's, number one, since we were toddlers. And Hellman's is the bomb, says Nancy DeMarco. Sue Pelham, yes, it is. You made me think of that Beatles song by Lennon. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. Will she wear red tonight? That's about all I can remember, but it's from their 6th album, the Beatles' 6th album. We go to the Kangaroo ionosphere. Here's Jackie Organ from Australia. Hi, Jackie Organ. So just to talk a little bit about the topic that I've put in the headline, and look, it's already like 28 minutes in. I was late coming on, a couple of minutes. Just seems like we have hit the gas in the Bob Joyce story, and we're not sure really what direction we're going. But the success of ticket sales in Coleman, Alabama, is definitely going to motivate more of this. All proceeds go to Household of Faith, I guess, towards the building fund, because, this church, let me go to bobjoyce.org just in case I missed something. This church is only going to hold 300, and that's not going to be anywhere near enough. And they know that. Anybody hear anything about them trying to add an overflow room? Let's see. Bob Joyce in Coleman, Alabama, Friday, October 10th, sold out. After initially reporting the concert is sold out, a limited number of additional tickets were made available. The concert has once again sold out. So now there's about 1,000 seats that are going to be there. A meet and greet opportunity was added for Thursday, October 9th from 4 to 6 p.m. available at the official Stonebridge Farms website. The newly added Thursday ticket does not include any of the Friday activities. So it could be you could still get to the meet and greet if you're nearby, Stonebridge Farms has mentioned to please be aware of scammers attempting to sell or resell tickets. So there you go. And the concert comes with dinner, but it's all sold out. Bob Joyce in concert, 2 hours worth with a 15-minute break. So 2 hours and 15 minutes total, which will start around 7 o'clock in the evening, something like that, after he does the meet and greets. The meet and greets at the concert are only for the VIP ticket holders and the VIP tables, which are in the very front. You had to have 8 people in your patty, and that was $2,000. So people, some people, oh, what's this? He's a pastor, and no. This is a concert. It's separate. And don't say he cannot sing anything but a gospel song. He can do what he wants. People say, oh, he'll do a lot of gospel. It'll be the kind that, what was that king of rock and roll's name? I always forget. Pastor Bob will be preaching on Sunday, August 17th. Yes, at the Hot Springs Convention Center. It's Household of Faith will hold its Sunday service in the Bank OZK Arena. It's all part of the Hot Springs Convention Center. Only this is the bigger arena with thousands of seats at 10 a.m. inside the convention center. They confuse inside the convention center. Like, I don't know. It doesn't sound the right way to word it, but that's just me. And general admission is free for everyone on Sunday, August 17th. George Magazine is hosting a live event convention from Friday through Sunday. Got to be VIP to take part in the Friday night and Saturday night activities. August 15th through, technically the 70th, featuring speakers of secular, political, and other topics with paid admission at the Hot Springs Convention Center. Pastor Bob has provided several articles published with George Magazine. Yes, he's been on the cover to lead people to Jesus and encouraging Christians in their daily walk with Christ. Bob Joyce will lead the singing and preach a sermon in the Bank OZK Arena on Sunday, 10 a.m. Central. There will be no services in Benton, of course, because they don't want to use an AI version of Pastor Bob in Benton. George Magazine features many articles and viewpoints. Just go to georgemagazine.com. For the second year, George Magazine has graciously paid for the convention space for Household of Faith Church, allowing all who attend to receive free general admission on Sunday. Well, you kind of got to do that because it's a church service, People say, well, Joel, when he does those crusades, he charges. the point that Joel does that, something like $15 or something, when he's at Madison Square Garden or some other huge arena, is because they don't want people to show up from long distances and then not get in. So they charge a nominal fee of tickets. If you don't have a ticket, you know not to come. And then they have a love offering. They have a love offering. Then I heard some of his last saw some of his last sermon as well. We need to know him, from 7:20, 7:25, and that's right here on the church website, bobjoyce.org, bobjoyce.org. The date has not been announced for the move to the new building. There are no VIP tickets, no exclusive invitations, or any type of special situations associated with a new location for Household of Faith. And then they go into the fact that, people try to imitate, pretend that they're Household of Faith or Pastor Bob himself. Does anybody out there know, let me go back to the live stream, why we are on hold now for over a month when the church seemed to be about done? I know they were doing some additional wiring and stuff like that. Why are we on hold? Somebody knows the answer. I wish you'd tell me. Hi, Faith Lloyd. And she's saying hello to Bertha. So Bertha must be here. There she is, Bertha Blackwell. I talk so fast. It's like, doing a radio show where I was up and playing the rock and roll and stuff, but instead of having the songs to rest during, I'm talking all the time. Bertha Blackwell always reminds me of Mr. Blackwell, who used to once a year come out with the 10 worst dressed women. Oh, dear. What does everyone think about Bob Joyce going to be in concert? I hope everything goes all right for him. I believe the man has made it back. I hope everyone is doing all right tonight. Well, I always think of that movie, What About Bob, where Richard Dreyfuss, who played his therapist, wrote a book called Baby Steps, one step at a time, And you test the waters and see how well that goes. Well, this is a sensation happening in Coleman, Alabama. I'll be honest with you, until this concert, I had never heard of Coleman, Alabama. So that's very exciting. But he's not looking for bedlam. He's just looking to expand, and we don't know exactly what his plans are. But he's trusting the Lord. So, in terms of building that big sanctuary on the 9 acres of land, they've got the horse barn pretty much done now. I'm not sure what the holdup is. If you know, let me know. That big sanctuary will be a major undertaking, and you could not do it at the speed of this. You'd have to have a full-time professional crew, and it could go up. It could be ready for spring of 2026, I think, if you had a big professional crew. It's a beautiful venue, says Buddy. Do you know people that have been married there, Buddy? I know that they do a lot of weddings. I can tell that from their address. Have heard of Coleman coolers and lanterns, says Neo. Oh, there's no Coleman, Alabama. It's Coleman, Alabama, right? Isn't it? Lizard Lounge Radio is here. Hello, Lizard Lounge Radio. David Brian Lawson. Hey, what about Jack? Yes, what about Jack? What About Bob was a wonderful movie, and I was I was sorry to hear that um, Richard Dreyfuss found Bill Murray very difficult. I think indicated that he was drinking during the movie on occasion, not when it came time to film. He gave it his best. He does a wonderful performance in there. And it's funny when you see a movie and you see what you think is chemistry and everything, and what it really turns out to be is Richard Dreyfuss is that wonderful of an actor. Just did a wonderful job in that. So I don't know. Your daughter was married at the Coleman Stonebridge facility. Wonderful, wonderful. Hi, Joe Worrell. Alex is talking to Lizard. And Jody, evening Jack just got off work. See, we hit it right. Just about, anyway. And I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. 98 watching right now. That's because of our hot new video, which is going towards 6,000. We debuted at what? Friday morning at about 7 o'clock, or was it Thursday? They all run together. But is Elvis about to do his first concert in 48 years? I got the right title there, Matt. You may have better graphics, but 5.8 thousand it says there. But then I just looked at analytics, and it's about to tip into the $6,000 realm. As opposed to Charlie Rose is back and here on YouTube. I did that video just after I did this big one from Elvis, the Elvis possibility, and that's got 179. Once again, I learned the lesson that when you go away from your main topic, don't expect it to set the night on fire. Now, like Wednesday's show, I thought I would talk about something that I've been looking at lately. I now doubt the moon landing. Pretty provocative title. Of course, a lot of people have videos on this. And then I said Bob Joyce update to kind of save it. And I did do a Bob Joyce update. But it's 689 views, So what can I do, gang? I mean, even our breaking few Bob Joyce tickets added, new meet and greet October 9th has not hit 1,000 yet. Has not hit 1,000. That's a great picture of Bob Joyce in the studio that had just been put up. I like those for the first time, seeing him in black rimmed glasses and those big old-fashioned headphones. Old guys like big headphones, including myself. I have the medium Sony headphones when I need headphones because they're the best deal on the internet, So we're about to hit 6,000 with Is Elvis about to do his first concert in 48 years? Bob Joyce Spotlight concert almost sold out. 3,000 views there. Elvis Secrets. What did Billy Smith say? That's got 1,300 views. And we have, 570 some videos up. So there's a lot for you to check out. They're not all about Bob Joyce. We do some live music. We go on location, various places for live music. Got some Billy Joel comments. Any Billy Joel fans out there? Anyone ever hear of him? I hope. Do that in a couple of minutes. We've been lied to on an epic scale, says Lizard Lounge Radio. Well, what do I say about people that put it that way? I think the Lord had a plan for Pastor Bob Joyce to preach the gospel, but it has bothered me what that would lead to if other people had to cover that story, But we may be wrong about the whole thing. I speak of possibilities, okay? Okay? Adam Davidson is here. Hi, Adam. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Retracting messages right and left. Hi, Jack Semi. See here. David Brian Lawson, Bob's nothing but a hound dog. Well, maybe he was at one time. Samuel Rodriguez, hi, Jack. A Sammy from Massachusetts. Yeah. Do you like that song by the Bee Gees, Massachusetts? Early Bee Gees. Love it, love it, love it. Love your state. Not so much the politics. I understand. You're the manager of the Boston. I heard the former Yankee, the former voice of the radio voice of the New York Yankees, John Sterling, heard a little bit of his radio show. He does one on Saturday afternoons at 4 p.m. East Coast time on WABC, and you can hear it anywhere, WABCradio.com. You can probably even hear archives of the show. And he was saying that his pick already for manager of the year is the manager of the Boston Red Sox, whose name I'm forgetting. It's Corey, right? It's Corey something. That's who he thinks will be the manager of the year. Joe Chavez is here. Anytime there's a delay like that, permits are usually involved. Yeah, that can definitely be it. See, they moved out of Benton to not have so many regulations, and they figured they'd have up free reign. They're still in the county, but they're not in is it a town or a city, Benton? I'm not sure. They're not right in there anymore. When they move anyway, they won't be. I don't know what they'll do with the other property. We shall see. People will watch on the flat screen there, and then after Bob has some time with the people after the service, they'll say he's going to come over here now. People will be going over there. I don't know. But there are some people that know, and they're being very close-lip about it. They're being very close-lip. I mean, there is that chance that you get in there and it's just not enough. And you've got to have an overflow room. So what do you do now? What do you do? What could I do? I got all choked up and I threw down my gun, called him my pa, and he called me his son. And I walked away with a different point of view, even though he named me Sue. Oh, boy. Robin's here, is she? Hello, Robin Roman. Robin Roman. Hi, Jack and family. 99, 98, 99. Watching 39 likes. Please hit the like button. That's very helpful. We're in a brand new month of August. And Elaine Peterson is starting us off right. And so is Buddy. Look at that. Elaine Peterson, who has hit the Cash App so many times, has hit it again for $10. If you add it all up, it's a lot more than that. $10 from Elaine Peterson. Thank you. I think last week you hit it again at the end, or there was somebody that did. Maybe I'll be able to find that as I go down my list. But thank you, Buddy McDaniel, as well. Buddy McDaniel hit the Cash App for $40. I'll tell you my Cash App handle just because they hit it. And this is for the month of September. It was the 3rd of September, a day I always remember, 'cause that was the day that my daddy died. I've told that story before. This was after what's his name, who sang "Ain't Too Proud to Beg" and "My Girl." That Temptation had already left the group, and they had the guy with the afro. I wish I could call his name out. They handed him this song, "Papa Was a Rolling Stone," and it was like they may not have known this, but this was like autobiographical for the lead singer. And so they handed him the lyrics to "Papa Was a Rolling Stone." And he looks at this and tears are coming in his eyes. And he says, it was the 3rd of September the day I'll always remember, because that was the day my daddy died. September 3rd was the day my daddy died. I don't want to do this song. I don't want to do it. It just really hit him. But as he thought about it, he knew it was perfect. And he sang that song. He sang that song. So anyway, my Cash App handle, and well, when I say Cash App, I get that pretty much immediately. Couple of days like that, I get more of it when you hit Cash App as opposed to the thanks button. But I'm very grateful to the thanks button here that YouTube provides for me. I'm very thankful. It all goes into the September pot now, because we're in, and I have a very meager budget. Nobody's getting rich here. This is just tips. I am your virtual waitress, and if you want me to wear an apron, and I'm not wearing stockings though. It's just a bridge too far. It's a bridge too far. All right, a little bit, but not much. That's all you're getting. I'm just joking. People like our grand patriarch Richard Lyon have said button your shirt before, It's just the way I usually wear it. And I don't have any gold chains. But thank you, Elaine. $10 on the Cash App. And thank you, buddy. $40 for the show. I appreciate that. My Cash App handle is lowercase letters, Media Guy 56. MEDIAGUY 56. Media Guy 56. And let's see here. As I go further down, not too many emails from you guys this week. Mick did check in. Hello, Mick. And going a little further down. For a moment there, Nancy, I thought you were telling me Alabama had gotten back together and we're going to be in concert. What's this here now? Oh yeah, I don't believe in the Four Brothers. I just don't subscribe to that one. I just don't. I believe there's the Elvis, and I believe Jesse passed away. Period. Yeah, there you are again, Elaine. I see that on the Cash App, Media Guy 56. But if you don't have the Cash App and you don't want to load it off the Google store, and you do want to leave a tip, it can be 99 cents, $5, or if you've been so blessed and you like what we do here, I'd appreciate your best gift. You're a best gift if you're one of those people that's been extremely blessed. So, where am I? I'm confused. And you'll see a thanks button right here. And my goodness, people are hitting it. People are hitting it. Look at that. We're starting off the month of I'll say we're starting off the month of October really good, but it's for September, especially when you hit the thanks button. So Adam Davidson is here, huh? He's saying hello to Faith. And we'll say Teresa Lee Leonard is here. Hello, Lizard Lounge Radio. What would Lizard Lounge Radio sound like, huh? Oh, here's somebody new. Vinny Maru. Shellback. Hound broke down in Alabama. That's why he picked Cullen. That could be funny, but it's one of those jokes you got to think about, Vinny. I'll have to think about that one. Let's see here. Pastor Jody Smith says, Jack, Pastor Bob, trusting in God. That's the key. But he knows time is of the essence. Yeah. And look at the time we're living in. And that he's testing the truth as he knows we are, and everyone knows who he is. Anyone a fan of the Grease Man? You're talking about the radio DJ from years ago. I never really got to hear him. I never really did. I know he got a little naughty and got thrown off the air. It could be something that was, no big deal. Um, but back then, it was. It was. It's not like he got on the radio and used the F word. Adam, Mr. Jack, have you thought about doing a live show outside Bob Joyce Church? I think that would be disrespectful. Now, having said that, Adam, if I was there, I might go quickly live and from the parking lot. Yeah, I might. I might. And then they'll, say, get in your car and go on, get. Go on, get. Patricia Hatch. We do have new people. Maybe it's because of the hotter video that's up on Elvis. Is this his first concert in 48 years? Are you going to share highlights of his concert? Well, it wouldn't be me. They own the rights to it, and they're not going to allow people to randomly film it. I think they're going to keep a watch on that. You know how they say don't do it and people do it? Comedians don't want you filming them because they know that they will. They're going to be doing the same show, maybe 600 miles down the road or less, and they don't want it on YouTube. I totally get that. I totally get that. And they will. Kevin Hart's big on that, but I would go see Kevin Hart anyway. I mean, I'm not saying he's not funny in any capacity, but he's not my cup of tea. He's rich as rich can be. So, and Adam, with Karen having the surgery and stuff, I just don't know what my timetable is for this year. I don't know it yet. They still haven't approved the rods and the screws and the fusion. That's still up in the air with Aetna, telling the doctor what he should do and how much time he's got to do it. We've got to address this in legislation. This is one for President Trump. We've got to, and the Congress and the Senate, we've got to address this because it's getting to the point where these insurance companies are trying to tell the doctor how to perform an operation. We just can't have that. We can't have that. So, Patricia, as some people have said, this is something they should film with multi-cameras. Get a crew to come in and do it. Get a crew to come in and do it with multiple cameras, switchers, and what have you. The real thing. We don't do something cut rate for the Lord, right? It's time to start thinking about that in all aspects of video production. A crew that with multiple cameras and switchers, you shouldn't have to, you can barely see the praise team or whatever. You got to have a great praise team. You got to have it all. You got to have it all. I'm not saying you got to hire the Hillside Singers or the Hillsong. They had their controversy too, but that's another story. So we'll see, Adam. I don't know. I don't know what my timetable is. And then when the timetable, when I know what my timetable is, do I have the money to do it? And is more than anything, is it the will of the Lord for me to go there? And do they want me to go there? Would they be okay with it? That kind of thing. But I'm not going there for a story. I would go there to praise the Lord and meet the pastor. He certainly isn't going to pick me if he wants to do an interview. And I totally understand that. See, it's a tough thing. Everybody wants to be an interviewer, but really you got to leave it to the professional people. I mean, I think of some of the great interviewers of my lifetime: Dick Cavett, Tom Snyder. Tom was a little bit top heavy on himself, but it was so enjoyable. Everybody loved Tom Snyder. Jay Leno could be a pretty good interviewer with serious stuff as well. He could handle both silly and pertinent topics of the day. So could Dave Letterman. But when you get to the level of somebody like a Dan Rather, who's not going to be with us forever, he's getting on in years. Um, you can see in his show, he has a like an hour-long interview on Access. You can see a real pro there that's done his homework and is coming in, and he's going to ask the tough questions. Joe Rogan, there it is. Joe Rogan. Wow. The number one podcaster in the world, Joe Rogan. So thank you, Adam Davidson, for 1999. I really hope that's in your budget. Don't do it if it's not. I really, I'm sensitive to that. Vinny, my goodness, I'm meeting you for the first time. The King helping take everyone to the promised land. Yes, an instrument of God, the Father, Son, and being led by the Holy Spirit. I agree with that. Vinny Maru. $50 on the thanks button. My goodness. What a way to start the month of August, huh? Thank you. Thank you, Vinny, very, very much for doing that. And then, of course, as we said earlier, where am I? Okay. That was on the Cash App. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's a real encouragement to me. Just buy camera ray band camera glasses to film the concert, then post. Just buy camera ray band camera glasses to film the concert, then post. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. But I'm saying, they have every right to tell you to put your phone away or even tell you to get out if you won't. And what I would like to see is a multi-camera professional job of filming that concert. And eventually the same thing at Household of Faith. Why should Joel Osteen have the best and not Household of Faith? Who's preaching more of the Word of God? I believe there's somebody that could help Pastor Bob out with all that. Could help Pastor Bob out and get him exactly the kind of system they need and the people to do it. It's just like that. Jody Smith, 211. Well, we have Route 211 here, $2.11. Thank you, Jody Smith. Thank you. I appreciate that. Jackie Organ said, hi, Jack. Here is the official building update. And you're in Australia. My goodness. This is not anything to do with telepathy, is it, Judy Wurlitzer Organ? We are still working hard to get everything just right. We have new video sound equipment. We are learning to use it. Okay. All right. You saw that from somebody on a group probably, right? Okay. I hope that there is someone that knows it backwards and forwards that is teaching that process, that is doing that. I was wondering about an overflow room, that kind of thing, what the plan is for that as well. So thank you, Jackie. Sam Sammy, $13.99 on the thanks button. Thank you so much, Sam Sammy. Elvis is back in the building or the buildings. Yes. I was just joking about next he will have a Vegas residency, and in 2027 the 50th reunion since Elvis Presley. I don't know if Pastor Bob ever even watched Elvis Presley. But 50 years since, I assume in the 77 tour, he was at the Garden. Am I right about that? Am I right? Am I right? I could be wrong. I could be crazy. That'll lead into Billy Joel in just a minute. Um, so thank you, Jackie. Thank you. We're being held up for video equipment. um, oh, dear. Ray-Ban camera glasses. She said it again, Robin Roman. Is that like the Ray-Ban sunglasses? That kind of thing? Cajun Calvin, will we have another Elvis comeback concert? I don't think he's interested in glorifying Elvis in any way, shape, or form. I just think he wants to have more people hear the gospel of Jesus Christ. So he's trusting God. But he is now realizing that people want concerts. People want concerts, you know. Imagine having like a gospel sing-along Saturday afternoon at George Magazine Live. That would be a winner. That would be a winner. Sam Sammy is sure about what's going to happen. So thank you, Sam Sammy, and thank you, Jody Smith. $13.99 from Sam Sammy, $2.11 from Jody Smith, $50 from Vinny. Welcome, Vinny. Where are you watching again from? If you haven't, if you have said, Adam Davidson, 1999. Thank you for hitting the thanks button. I love worship music. Yeah, if it's done right, you know. Love the Gaither stuff and Mark Lowry and what have you. And, you know, I used to play some of this when I worked at the Christian Radio Network for 11 years. Some Southern gospel and obviously worship music that wasn't from the Southern vein, but more contemporary. Tape of Elvis doing Eddie Rabbit song and his comment about Reagan being shot came in maybe in the middle of that. Yeah, see, there is some stuff that occasionally makes it on the internet that was not meant for broadcast, that they would have edited out of the tape, but it somehow makes it on air on YouTube, you know. So they don't want you recording during the service. There's a rule, no recording during the service. Pastors can't make political comments from the pulpit. They could lose their tax exemption, you know. Jack, I think the song Walk a Mile in My Shoes is pertinent. There's a good word. I love that word, pertinent, if you know what I mean. Well, I love that song, always did, from Joe South. What about the games people play? I'm not talking about the Spinner song. Da 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 da, talking about you and me and the games people play. La 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 da 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 da. Yeah, Joe South. What was his other one that was really good? Yeah, he tend to have biting songs. They had a few of them. 100 to 120 degree summers. I've been hearing about that, Vinny. People in Oklahoma, even, right, Nancy? 117 degrees? No, can't do that. I mean, we had some 97 and I'm sure it hit 100 here. But then look at this, 76 degrees today. We get breaks from it. But come the wintertime, I'm ready to leave here for a while and go to the free state of Florida. I am. Yes, yes, yes. Barbara Tarrant is here. Or is it Tarot? Hi, Jack. Have you ever heard Elvis had three brothers? And we talk about that. And they all used to play Elvis. Just reject the concept, Barbara. I'm sorry. People hit me with that from time to time. I know there's others that have videos on it. Um, we try to tell here since 2018 a pretty cohesive story. It's already amazing without going out into the outer realms of something like that. I believe Jesse died. Um, so there are people that entertain it, but I'm not one of them. I think that my personal opinion is Elvis did fake his death in 1977. There seems to be an overwhelming audience, overwhelming amount of information about that. Phil Aitchison was commissioned to do a report on the Elvis faking his death. We've talked about this, Gail Brewer, Giorgio, and what have you. There are many reasons why he would do that, who helped him, and all that. The body on the floor was not Elvis, said the paramedics, didn't even look like Elvis. And we've gone through the whole thing many, many times. This story is already, just in and of itself, totally amazing, bizarre in some cases. So I don't go out into the outer realms because I don't see validity to it. But I certainly don't judge you for thinking that there's four brothers, Stephen Spielich, howdy. Howdy, howdy, howdy. I do not like hot weather, Elaine Peterson says. I don't like hot weather either. I like the sweet spot, somewhere in the 70s to the low 80s and what have you. But I sure don't like those cold winds of the winter where everything feels dead and, just don't like it. So I'm ready. I'm ready for Port St. Lucie come February. I am. In January, it tends to be cold in parts of Florida. You got to get out there way in before it starts to get warm. Like if you're in Miami, you're set. And September, October, you got to worry about hurricanes. So unless you're in the middle of the state, usually you'll be all right if you're in the Orlando, Kissimmee area. Rocky Mountain Red Wing. Hello, Jack and everyone. Andrea in Colorado. So now we know you're Andrea. Hi, it's always been a beautiful name to me. Nice to have you aboard. Dry heat is okay. That makes me think of Arizona, Vinny. It's 111, but it's a dry heat. I like that 76 today with a nice breeze, a lot better, I'll tell you. But we'll have more hot weather. So this is what's gonna happen with the guy downstairs. Since the last few days it's been cold, and he pays a fee for the air conditioner. This happened last year. It was the exact same setup in early August as it is this year. I find that interesting. When Karen asked him for the $30, which isn't much, for the air conditioner, he's going to say, "No, I don't want it. I don't want it." And then she's going to say, "Well, Brad, if Andy takes it out, he's not putting it back in. He's not putting it back in to lug that up and downstairs and what have you. So, are you sure?" He thinks she'll take a week and a half to take it out. He thinks that's what happened, but she won't. So there'll be more warm weather. But last year when he said, "No, I don't want it," it wasn't a very hot August. The hottest weather came in July. So it didn't affect them that much. Michael Tusa, good day from Sydney, Australia. Say hello to Jackie Oregon from Australia as well. Wild weather here. Now, are you out of your winter? I know winter to you can mean 50s or something like that, not 10 degrees. What's your wild weather like, Michael? Andrea says, thank you. Keeps threatening to rain, but then doesn't here every day this week. Mr. Jack, do you think Bob Joyce will visit Graceland around August 16th, 2025? No. That's like That's like Paul McCartney going into a diner when he sees it's packed to the rafters. You know, there's no, there's no there's no parking spaces almost in the parking lot. He wants to go in and have a quiet meal. He ain't going there, you know. Mick Jagger went to the TikTok diner in New Jersey with security and what have you, somewhat of a disguise, and he got away with it. He got away with it. But I at the end would feel that I had to, because it was around Christmas time. I would have to stand up and wish everybody a Merry Christmas and everything. But then he's going to spend the next 45 minutes taking pictures and what have you. And then there's always that person that might decide to follow him out of the parking lot, you know? Patricia, no, I'm sorry, Pamela Lee. Pamela Lee. Hey, Jack, this is Pamela Lee. Love listening to you. Oh, isn't that nice? I hope you don't mind watching me a little bit. You know, people do say I have a face for radio and a voice for print. That was actually who was that? He's passed away now. He was the weekend host of Coast to Coast AM. He was also a deacon in the Methodist Church, and he was in the Midwest. Can't think of his name right now. Ian Punnett. Ian Punnett. Yeah. He did have kind of a not easy to get used to voice, but once you did, you know, it wasn't that bad. So again, Barbara, I'm glad you're here. Where are you from? My throat is so dry. .92 watching. Having that hot video up helps. It brought more people to the channel because they hit the subscribe button. Please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell. If you can, hit the thanks button at the bottom of the page here. But never give beyond your means. Please don't ever do that. It's just a tip jar. It's just a tip jar. I am not a tax-free exempt organization. Yeah, Vinny Karen, my partner, is always talking about the dew point is where it's at. If the dew point is high, it's uncomfortable. We have nice weather, says Elaine Peterson. What's going on with that weather, Michael? Wild weather here. What is happening, and what's your temperature? And I don't mean in Celsius, because we rejected that whole Celsius thing in the USA. So I'm not sure what it is when you say it that way. We had nearly 100-degree weather for going on 3 weeks, says Tessie. Today it broke 71 degrees. Amen, right? And we'll be in the 70s for about a week. Patricia Hatch says, I listen to you daily. Well, you must be watching, since I don't do a daily show, you're watching some of our older stuff, and that's cool. Where are you watching us from again, Patricia Hatch, if I didn't ask that already? Jack, I am from, Pamela Lee says, I'm from West Virginia, but living in Kentucky. Kentucky woman, ba-bum-bum. Yeah. I've only been in your state when I made a wrong turn. I was going to, I guess, Florida, and I got to Knoxville, Tennessee, and I should have kept right, and I made a left, and then I'm seeing signs for the original Kentucky Fried Chicken. Here's a dream from Jody. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Dream Time with Jody Smith. Jack, I had a dream in 2026. That's impossible, Jody. Are you a time traveler here? Did you go into 2026? Any significant stuff you want to tell us about what's going to happen between now and then? Elvis derangement syndrome is going to test Pastor Bob, and he will slip up a few times and regret accidentally saying what he will say because it will allude. Allude. The word for the day is allude. Okay. I don't know. I think we may be on a faster pace than that. We shall see. You are in South Florida. So I'm not very good with the globe, So what major city or town would you be near? Um, because I don't know if Jacksonville is in south, west, east, north, or south. All I know is Orlando's kind of in the middle of the state next to Kissimmee. So I'm not good with that because I only have a GED and broadcasting school. That's about it. Patricia Hatch is in Missouri. Okay. You have some weird weather there, right? Do you have the tornadoes, the Ford tornadoes that come in and create havoc sometimes, or a tornado? Katina Swatsworth joins us. Welcome. We have a gale force. Yeah, I never say that terminology. I hear the weatherman say it. We have gale force wind and torrential rain. It's crazy, huh? Wow. So, what's the wind speed when it's gale force? Hi, gale force with the weather. Time for check of the weather with meteorologist Gale Force. Somebody's used that. Somebody has definitely used that, and it's not a guy. Jack from WKRP in Cincinnati. Yeah, I used to watch it, of course. I loved Howard Hesseman as Dr. Johnny Fever. Venus Flytrap, Tim Reed. It's just hot. Yeah. It's terrible when you don't get that break. Billy Joel, I've gotten to watch on HBO Max the all two parts of his documentary that's up. Very interesting. I've been a Billy Joel fan since Piano Man, and then I got into his earlier albums that came prior to that were good but didn't get him any critical acclaim. So he did the album Piano Man, and then he followed it up with several albums that didn't do very well commercially, but they were great albums. Street Life Serenade, that had a song called The Entertainer on it, where he expressed his frustration with, I won't be here in another year if I don't stay on the charts. I do this masterpiece of a song and they want to cut it down to 3 minutes and 5 seconds. That kind of thing. Didn't set the night on fire. So then came Turnstiles, where he had a classic song on there that everyone from Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra, lots of female vocalists wanted to cover this song, and that was New York State of Mind. But it wasn't a solo hit for Billy Joel. It is a song that still got a lot of play on the radio because FM stations would play it, even though it wasn't a hard rock station. They would take a break sometimes and play New York State of Mind, and loose formatted stations would play it. But it wasn't really a mega hit for Billy Joel, and he was afraid that he was gonna lose his recording contract. He had worked so hard. Now, early on, before his success, he tried to commit suicide twice. They talk about that in this documentary. I don't want to give everything away, but they talk about it twice. Anyway, after Turnstiles, he has some fans, and some of the people that notice him would be Clive Davis, Columbia Records, and Atlantic Records. All of a sudden, Billy Joel goes from, no attention to the biggest record companies want to sign him. And he goes with Columbia Records, he says, because they recorded Bob Dylan. And Bob Dylan was not known. Bob Dylan was not known for number one albums, but he was Dylan and he had a ferociously loyal following, but not number one albums, you know? So he said, well, I'll go with them because they'll be less likely to drop me if we have a dry spell or whatever. And so they go to work and he knows that he's got to come up with something really special and he's got to have hits on it. And the way Billy Joel writes is he goes in a room by himself. It's him and a pad and a pencil. And he starts to write, or pen, and he starts to write lyrics and music all by himself with a piano. And that's his writing process. So he wrote The Stranger, which would be the album that would drive him to the superstar realm of entertainers, you know. I think there were 4 singles on there. Just the Way You Are was one of them. Paul McCartney said, of all the songs I wished I had written, Just the Way You Are is number 1. But they fought about what would be the first single, and his manager was also his wife at the time, and she said, no, it's got to be Moving Out. It's got to be Moving Out. Of course, that was a big hit for Billy, but when Just the Way You Are came out, it was number 1. It was number 1. So it goes through the whole career. It goes through the Christie Brinkley years, the marriage, and then the third and fourth wife. The third wife was so young, beautiful young lady. It shows Billy Joel's struggle with alcoholism throughout his relationship with his father, who was a musician. But never really seemed to give Billy the love and approval that he needed. But later on in life, he hooked up and even had his father on stage because he was a musician too, just like his half brother. And it's just a fascinating documentary on Billy Joel on HBO Max. I would highly, highly recommend it. He had to bust his butt for the career that he had. And then he picked the wrong manager midway through the career that started abusing his money, making bad investments. All of a sudden, superstar Billy Joel is near broke. He fires and sues that manager, who was the brother of his first wife. And then now, when he's really tired, he has to go out on the road constantly to make the money back. And it led him all the way to the point of success where he said, after I think the third breakup, he said, I've got $500 million now and I got nobody to love. So fascinating documentary. I highly recommend it. Susan Carter hits the thanks button for $20 for this new month of August. Thank you very, very much, Susan Carter. It's been quite a night here on the thanks button. Thank you very, very much. It blows me away. It really does. You know, we have a fairly small audience, but it's a family audience. And it just blows me away. It blows me away that now, after August 15th, it's going to become tougher. I'm going to be basically Karen's caretaker. And, I'll pop on and what have you. I don't know how things are going to go and what have you. But obviously, this is helping me having a good 1st of August, because I may not be on very much for the second part of August, except through pop-ons and what have you. Pop-on live, though. There will never be another Karen Carpenter, in my opinion. Well, I'm hoarse tonight. Well, yeah, she was one of a kind, says Elaine Peterson. What I didn't realize until just today, I guess it was Herb Alpert that was being interviewed, but it was back in the day, a very old interview. It took a while for the audience to really warm up to the Carpenters, although I know Just Close to You was a pretty big hit pretty fast. Their first single, which is a great version of Ticket to Ride, where she slowed it down, Richard slowed it down, didn't become a hit. But it did take a while for the audience to warm up to the Carpenters and to see the genius and love her soft songs, because there wasn't a lot of soft songs doing that. Jody Smith says Billy Joel, River of Dreams, that was his last album. That includes the song where he tells the audience, I've said what I had to say. I've got nothing more to say. That's it. And it would be all the way to what, 2024, was it? Before he said anything again with Turn the Lights Back On. And he did release a few songs that had not been released in the past as well that you can find on Spotify and other places. But he didn't release anything really new until Turn the Lights Back On, which is a great song, by the way. Great song. So he was very happy to tour promoting River of Dreams. He didn't think that one song was going to be a big hit. He was surprised a number of times, including with Just the Way You Are. And but after that, he had to tour with no album, no new album, and it became quickly apparent that he had a body of work at that point that people were going to keep coming and coming and coming to it finally led after a long break in 2014. He worked out a deal with Madison Square Garden for MSG residency, one concert a month until he either couldn't vocally do it, or the ticket sales waned. And he says, well, this will probably go for 6 months and that'll be that. It went for 10 years to 2024, breaking all the records for Billy Joel. I'm not endorsing Only the Good Die Young, though. I'm not doing that. Hi, Carla. Welcome. Hello, Jack and everyone. Welcome to you. There will never be another Karen Carpenter, says Elaine. Carla says, bless you for giving that offering, sister. And it's just a tip jar here. Katina Swatsworth, I read or saw something that said Billy Joel looked at Christy Brinkley and told her she was getting too old for him. Well, in this documentary, I see no indication of that. I just see the alcohol, time and time again, the alcohol would take over Billy Joel. And she would wake up and he would not be there. And she would start calling around to various bars. They have a child, Alexa, and she would start calling around at 1 and 2 in the morning. Is he there? Is he there? And finally, she would come to a place that would say, yeah, he's here. He's here. So they fought about it and what have you. And she says, Billy, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Maybe I should take Alexa and leave. And Billy Joel said, well, maybe that's what you should do then. Maybe that's what you should do then. And that was that. But for a long time, she was very much in this game. And of course, she still looks sensational. I think there was never a time when he didn't realize, wow. As Norm Macdonald said on Weekend Update when he did that on Saturday Night Live, he said, it was announced today that Christy Brinkley and Billy Joel are getting a divorce. The reason, she's Chris Brinkley and he's Billy Joel. In other words, he may be one of the greatest superstars of all time, but, she's one of the most beautiful women of all time. And there was going to come a time, and the way Norm Macdonald was trying to spin it, that she would say, well, I'm going to go for my John Stamos. I always say that. Thank you, Miss Carter. I appreciate that. So I didn't see that, Katina. The third wife, beautiful as well. My God, she looked like she was 22 years old. And by that time, Billy was getting real tired of the road. Christy went on the road for a long time and was very supportive, especially before the birth of their daughter, Alexa Ray. But there came times when, she just needed, to be a mother and not be dragging Alexa all over the world. So, what's his favorite song that he's written? It's the name of the documentary on HBO Max. It's one of my favorites too. And so it goes. And so it goes. Billy Joel feels that's the best song he's ever written. The second one would also be for personal reasons. Vienna. When will you realize Vienna waits for you? He had to go to Vienna to meet his father because his father had moved to Vienna. He wasn't coming. He knew that his son had become a superstar in America, and he stayed in Vienna. Billy had to go there to meet his father. So Carla's talking to Elaine, Nancy DeMarco. My favorite Billy Joel song is Goodnight Saigon. That meant an awful lot to him because he had never served, and he really wanted to do some more serious stuff. Besides talking about relationships, the Uptown Girl and all that, he wanted to do something that would honor the Vietnam vets. And so he got a bunch of them together and they sat around and talked about their experiences. And Goodnight Saigon came out of that. It's a great song from the Nylon Curtain. Absolutely. My old friend played sax in Billy Joel's band, Richie Kanata. Yeah, because in later years it was, I'm forgetting his name, the guy who's been with him for so long. They talk about the basically the firing of his longtime drummer Liberty DeVito. When Billy Joel knew he needed a different producer, that it just wasn't working for the producer of the older stuff, he turned to Phil Ramone. And they produced The Stranger and Endless Hits, all the Billy Joel classics. But when he wanted to get into the more serious, take a course away from Uptown Girl and Big Shot, which was mostly about him and his bad behavior, and moving out. And when he wanted to do something a little more cutting edge, he knew he needed a new producer. So I'm trying to think of the guy's name, but he was also legendary. Phil Ramone was not happy about that. He was hurt by that. But he said, it's just that I'm trying to go a different way now. And so the guy listened to some of Billy's new stuff with his band. And what he said to Billy was, I love the songs. I love the piano player. I love the vocals. The band sucks. He says, it's gotten to the point, Billy, where I feel like they're phoning it in. And so, again, Billy had to hurt a bunch of people, and he had to change course and get some new musicians to play on the album. I'm not sure that the old band didn't come back for the tour. I think they did. I'm glad there was some interest there. Oh, you saw it, Vinny? Yeah. I just saw it. I haven't seen my new Dexter. I haven't seen episode 5 yet. I tripped your Alexa devices when you said that. Said what? He looks more like Darth Vader without the helmet from Return. See, this is a Neo comment from Return of the Jedi. Last time I saw a picture of him, he looks like a psychiatrist on Fifth Avenue. He looks like maybe a gynecologist. He looks, this Billy Joel kind of looks like a doctor or something like that. Probably a psychiatrist. Oh, thank you, Barbara, for stopping by. Thank you, Barbara, and thank you, Tessie. Appreciate that for you stopping by today. 71 watching, 68 likes. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. If there's anything you like, and the notification bell. You sound like Dick Clark introducing the big star. Oh, he had a wonderful voice, Pamela, before his stroke, He had a wonderful voice and certainly was a big fan of his. Just like Casey Kasem, he had his countdown on the radio too, besides American Bandstand, And he was a big-time businessman, had all kinds of businesses, Dick Clark. Then he got that stroke. They still call it Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest. But no, this is not my radio voice that I'm doing if I were on, say, top 40 back in the day, or that's not what I'm using here. I'm using, especially as my voice is going tonight, more of a conversational voice, a radio voice. It's 10 o'clock at The Rock, WKGL-FM, Middletown, New York. It's Jack Willard with you on a Friday night. We're going to rock and roll right now with Foreigner. Lou Gramm, of course, singing the lead. Mick Jones is in there. We'll send this out to the crew at ShopRite. Yeah, they're loading the shelves, and they're listening to Jackie as we rock and roll from 92 Rock 7. That's the radio voice. That's what's left of the radio voice. I should say it that way. Neon. Yeah, those were the days, my friend. I thought they'd never end. Then radio died, at least for music, At least for music. I mean, there are markets where that's still not true. Even in Newburgh, we've got Fox Oldies, nothing to do with the Fox Broadcasting TV network. And there's some good jocks on there, and they still have an audience. So in some markets, there's still music on the radio. But as Jerry Bridges will tell you, radio is dead. Radio voice is cool. Well, thank you. And then I had to realize when I got to Sound of Life playing the contemporary Christian music, I had to tone down the radio voice because that was not going to work. That was not going to work there. I remember Roger Thayer, who was the program director, and he caught me doing the radio voice as I was playing Bob Carlyle and Amy Grant and Petra and Stephen Curtis Chapman. Says, no, don't do the radio voice here. Remember, this is Christian radio, sincerity. I always try to be sincere, but there are people that really put on an over-the-top voice, and in broadcasting school, they warn you about that. It's called puking. Don't talk at the audience. It's a one-on-one conversation you're having. Just visualize one person. You're talking to them. You can be up. You can be energetic. But don't talk like this. Hey, kids, how you doing? Number 7 song coming at you right now. And the big one, CKLW. Don't do that. Certain jocks had voices where that wouldn't sound bad, though. Yeah. If I miss your comments, I don't mean to. Really good Rhonda Robinson. She's really good, and she's from the last train to Clarksville, Tennessee. Well, hi. Really cool, not really good. Really cool, Rhonda Robinson. That could be a radio DJ name. See, you could have been, I'll have to be honest with you. Most of the decent female jocks I heard back in the day were on the FM stations, and they weren't shouting or anything like that. Carol Miller would be at the top of the list. She's still around. Carol Miller on WNEW FM. You know, just a very cool conversational voice. When I got back from California, I lived in Hollywood for a solid year to get it out of my system. Couldn't do radio then. I had only worked at one station in Fredonia, New York, playing country music, WBUZ, the sound of the country. And now a broadcast icon has bought my local hometown station. I was born in the Bronx, but I was raised in the Hudson Valley. So this is the area I consider my hometown, you know. So I get back here, and a legend has bought my station and is actually doing a show on there, Cousin Bruce Morrow, who's still at 89 years old doing a show on Saturday nights on WABC radio, which you can hear around the country at WABCradio.com, archives of the shows. But he was on 77, WABC for years, WNBC, had several syndicated shows like Cousin Brucey's Cruise in America, did some TV reporting for entertainment, music stuff and what have you. So he's the owner, along with Bob Sillerman, Robert F.X. Sillerman, who's passed away now, who would go on to be a billionaire, and owned a piece of American Idol. Then I think more than just a piece of American Idol before his passing. And then he bought the rights to the name. Have you ever heard of this artist? Robert Sillerman, my ex-boss, bought rights to the name, the commercial use of the name Elvis Presley. He did. And of course, I only knew him in the early 80s when he was owned a few radio stations at that point, owned a floor covering company. He had money, more money than Bruce. But, he would have these parties up in Otisville, New York, at his house up there. This only lasted for a few years till he moved on to bigger and better things, but he called it Foon Manor, like buffoon, you know, and once a year we would get to go up there. And this is when I was with the first Karen. End with a Karen, begin with a Karen. And Karen was, this Karen was a newscaster on the station, but she had ruffled Bruce's feathers. And even though he liked her very much, especially on air, he fired her and she went to work for the competition. But we're still living together at that point. This goes back to 1983, something like that. And we're having this big Foon Manor party like we did the year before at Bob Sillerman's house. And I don't want to go alone, but I know that Bruce has had a falling out. And I went to Bob Sillerman. I said, he didn't mind being called Bob, so I guess I did call him Bob. I always said Cousin Bruce, though. You know, he's a legend I grew up listening to. I couldn't call him just Bruce. He didn't mind it, but I didn't like it. So I said, Bob, gee, I'd really like to bring Karen to the party, but I don't think Bruce would like that. And he said, well, what you do is just come later, because Bruce always comes early and leaves early. So come about 7 o'clock. And so that's exactly what I did. I took the first Karen, Italian Karen, and we went to the radio station party. As we're walking in, the very first person we run into is Cousin Brucey. And I could see that he didn't like this, but he was polite and what have you. And she said something like, well, I miss working at, the radio station that I was still working for. And he says, well, maybe that'll give you something to think about. That's how it kind of ended. That was on a Friday night, and Monday was my Rays review with Cousin Brucey. It was time for my raise, and I had an interview with cousin Brucey. So, so I went down the hall with much fear and trepidation, and knocked on Bruce's office, and he ushered me in, and he said, "You know, Jack, I really like you. I really like you. You're getting better and better on the air, but I don't know if I can trust you anymore. You knew that I didn't want Karen at that party. I mean, here she is eating my food. It was really Bob's food, I think, eating my food and what have you. And I know she doesn't like me, and that was uncomfortable for me. And I'm not happy about that." And I was shaking in my boots. You have to realize what an icon this man is. And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, uh, Bruce. Bob said it would be okay." Oh, I couldn't have said anything worse than that. And he said, "Oh, really? Okay." He says, "Well, I'll give you a raise," and he gave me a small raise, but you know, remember, to always make sure what I expect from you, what I expect from you. So that was that. So the next day, this is when I was doing middays, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the FM station. And I looked through my glass window, the door to the studio is shut. And here comes Robert FX Sillerman. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. And he comes in, there's a song playing. And he says, "Jack, did you tell Bruce that I gave you permission that it would be okay for Karen to come to the party?" And I said, "Bob, I'm so sorry. He's cousin Brucey." I froze. I didn't know what to say to him. And I just blurted that out. "I'm very sorry." He says, "Yeah, well, Bruce can get overly emotional about things like that. But remember, Jack, when I do something for you, it's between you and me." I said, "I will. I'll remember, sir. Thank you." And that was that story. Oh my God. For a young kid in radio dealing with these kind of heavyweights, it was wild. Absolutely, Carla. Wolfman Jack played in American Graffiti. Bob Smith was his real name. I was coming back from my Sound of Life Saturday afternoon station listening to the news when they came on with the story that Wolfman Jack had passed away that day, and it was enough for me to just want to park the car and cry. He was another one of my legendary heroes of radio. And in American Graffiti, you actually hear his real voice when the kids they make their way into this Mexican radio station that he's broadcasting in just over the border. And he talks to him in the real voice, and he claims he's not even Wolfman. That Wolfman's on the tape, because he has pre-recorded Wolfman and he can go live when he wants to. So you hear Bob Smith talk in his real voice, which is just like any guy from New York City. So when you think that every time he had to crack that microphone, he was putting on a really high energetic but very fake voice, and that must have took a lot out of him, the Wolfman Jack voice. Loved Wolfman Jack. He was great. He was great. Love listening to the Wolfman, says Jerry Bridges. Yeah. I remember Wolfman Jack, right? Excellent. Excellent. Cat's Incredulous. Well, we're getting some new people today. And welcome, Cat's Incredulous. What are 3 top pearls that one would be taught about broadcasting? Well, I really do think that it's a one-on-one conversation would have to be in the top 3. You're not speaking to them, you're speaking to a person. And if you do it that way, they'll feel like you're their best friend. And if you're doing it in the evening, it really works really well because now you have their full attention. So being an overnight DJ for so long, One of the perks of being an overnight DJ, you had the smallest audience, but you would get their attention. Before me was a sexy female name. She called herself Sundance on the air. Oh, the response she got. Um, Bruce had his New York announcer, Les Marshak, do the open for her. And Les Marshak had $1 million voice. And he would say, "She's warm. She's lovely. Here's Sundance." And often the voice and the face don't match. It just doesn't match. You see a DJ and you're disappointed that you had this vision of him. With Sundance, she was drop dead gorgeous. Drop dead gorgeous blonde. All night long, taxis would pull up with coffee and donuts and what have you. And she'd have to come down, unlock the door, and let them in, and they'd hand that to her and have a quick chat as our long record was playing. So the one-on-one conversation is very important. Be aware of your segues, and there's a thing called flow in radio. It's not this. It's supposed to all magically flow together. And that now we have to get the program director involved for the third one, because the magic is in the mix. The magic is in the mix. At the top of the hour or after the top of the hour newscast, whatever it is, the first song out should be balls to the wall if you're playing that kind of music. And it should identify the station that you are trying to sell to the audience. You don't do a minor soft hit at the top of the hour. You know, if you're going to do something from Foreigner, you want it to be as strong as Feels Like the First Time, Urgent, that kind of song. Neil Diamond, you don't want to open with Love on the Rocks, as wonderful of a song as that is. You want to do something like Sweet Caroline, or you don't even want to do I Am, I Said. You want to do Kentucky Woman. You want to do something that's got a lot of bite to it. With Elvis, you want to start with The Wonder of You, or, of course, one of his early hits or what have you. You wouldn't start with In the Ghetto. You would save that for later in the hour. I hope that answers your question a little bit. Cat's incredulous. I love that. Hey, Lori Merrick. Good evening, Jack and everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. They played up the radio DJ not looking like the voice on Wayne's World. I suppose that's true. Yeah, I never really thought of that. Some jocks just did not disappoint. Dan Ingram from WABC in New York. He was a handsome man who made far more money doing voiceover than he made making really good money on WABC in the afternoons. I got to work with his son at WVOS FM in Monticello. Imus looked like Imus was supposed to look. See, I only know New York and a little bit of California because I lived in Los Angeles for a year. Other jocks like Ron Lundy, I suppose you wouldn't have said, wow, he's a great looking guy, but he looked like an everyday guy, and that was cool. Dan Daniel, Dandy Dan, was a good looking man. So Cousin Brucey, perfect example, not disappointing. He looks like a star, man. He sounds like a star. He looks like a star. And he's like 6'4" with a huge hand. When I was almost trying to talk Jim Fry, the program director, of not giving me the gig for Sunday nights. And he said, no, I feel you can do this. I feel you can do this. Let's go meet Bruce. And when he got up from the console of the production studio, shook my hand and said, welcome to the family, Jack. I thought, well, I can die, and I've done it all now. I've done it all now. So we have 66. Isn't that funny? WNBC. 66 WNBC. Vernon with a V. Imus was so good on WNBC. But then the drugs and the drinking, kind of started to take away from his performance. And to teach him a lesson, they let him go, and he ended up on an afternoon drive show in Cleveland. But he worked his way back to WNBC. Got himself straightened out, and then eventually did more talk than music. In fact, all talk at some point. Okay, wow. 2 hours. I can officially say I am worn out. Want to thank those hitting the thanks button tonight for any amount, whether it be $1.99 or $2.99. If you have been so blessed, more, but never give beyond your budget. Never do that. It's just a tip jar. It's a virtual tip jar. I'll go over to the thanks button, and again, I'll thank Buddy for hitting the Cash App for $40 and Lane Peterson $10. The Cash App handle, if you should have that for any amount, Media Guy 56, MEDIAGUY 56. You can hit that at any time. Media Guy 56. You can hit the thanks button at any time as well once the replay starts too. Hello, replay audience, the biggest part of the audience, really. So thank you. All right. Didn't do any politics tonight. The ballroom is being paid by, that they want to do is being paid by Donald Trump and other people as a gift. If JFK and Jackie had thought of it and done it, they would be heroes. But with the people that have Trump derangement syndrome, nothing the man does, they will ever endorse and like. So that's the way it goes. It looks like it'll be a beautiful ballroom for future dignitaries and what have you that come to the White House. We should have something beautiful for them. So that'll be part of the Trump legacy. And it's not going to cost the taxpayers. Bridget Macron is a man. Tucker is still saying that. And she's the prime minister. And Bridget are suing Candace Owens now. So, what is she going to have to do? Go to Candace Owens' house and say, come into the bathroom with me, and I will prove to you that I am a woman? Who knows? So there you go. So really cool, Rhonda Robinson in Clarksville. Did he write did Mickey Dolenz? I don't know if Mickey wrote that. I'm assuming he did, but he may not have. If somebody else wrote Last Train to Clarksville. Did he write it for Clarksville, Tennessee? I somehow think he did, but I'm not sure. What's so moving, Fancy Nancy DeMarco? Good night, Jack, and everyone. Have a great weekend, says BK. Gosh, I love that album. Which one was that now? My favorite Billy Joel album? So, each album has its own gems. That's the whole thing. So there you go. Nice to see you, Carla. Nice to see you, Jerry. My home is in Chattanooga, Tennessee, home of Luther Massengill, the longest running radio announcer in the world. Everyone loved this wonderful man. Yeah, see, there are certain people in certain cities, certain states that are legendary to the people that live there. When you have $1 million voice, it goes a long way. I never had that. But, when you have that James Earl Jones voice, you're going to make millions off of that voice. WDEF TV was his job site. TV and radio. Is that like country and western? Yes, by the way, this is the broccoli slice from Calandria Pizza King. New owners now, but they have kept the best broccoli slice. They've got ricotta cheese on there, fresh broccoli, which they throw on from a white slice, and they got the ricotta and the mozzarella, and it's just delicious. Brother Bruno's, my favorite pizza shop, is closed now until the 18th of August. They've been closed for a week already, just about. They take 3 weeks off in the summer, and it is well earned. It's a family business, and I'm glad that they're getting some rest. They work long hours. It's like 10 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. It is delicious, Elaine. Trust me. New York pizza. It was always burning since the world's been a-turning. Free plus tax is Bob Elvis. You must be a conspiracy theorist or something. I love Jesus and love President Trump. Oh, and I love Jack. Thank you, Elaine Peterson. I appreciate that. Always like to conclude with some scripture. The words of Jesus from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 21, beginning with verse 10. Jesus speaking, nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilence in various places, and fearful events and great signs from heaven. But before all this, they will lay hands on you and persecute you. They will deliver you to synagogues and prisons, and you will be brought before kings and governors, and all on my account of my name. This will result in you being witnesses to them. But make up your mind not to worry beforehand how you will defend yourselves. For I will give you the words and wisdom that none of your adversaries will be able to resist or contradict. You will be betrayed even by parents, brothers, relatives, and friends, and they will put some of you to death. All men will hate you because of me, but not a hair on your head will perish. By standing firm, you will gain life. From the 21st chapter, NIV, Gospel of Luke, Jesus speaking himself. Billy Joel, his documentary is on HBO Max. It's 2 parts, it's long, and it's great. It's great. He's having issues now, health issues. His balance is not good, so we're not exactly sure. He fell on stage while trying to be Mr. Wise Guy, throwing the microphone at someone who would catch it with the stand with it, and he fell backwards. But he seems to be doing okay. He goes on Howard Stern a lot. You see the interviews there. Howard has gotten away from some of the most obnoxious stuff he used to do, somewhat, mostly. And he does great interviews with people like Keith Richards. I always love to listen to Keith Richards. I really do. Yeah, that's right. A number of times, Jody. two separate occasions anyway. He went on long tours with Elton John. On one of them, Elton made the remark that Billy was just drinking too much and may need to go into rehab. And Billy was not appreciative of that at the time, but he was right. He was absolutely right. That's good stuff, free plus tax. That white slice with broccoli and ricotta, mozzarella. Yeah, I think it's just time for him just to do an occasional concert and what have you. He's still married to Alexis, not to be confused with his daughter Alexa, and she seems to be sticking with him, so that's really good. That's really good. So, yeah, good to see a good response for the piano man, Billy Joel. And then there's Pastor Bob Joyce. We'll keep you abreast of that story. And please pray for Chris Starry, who's got cancer and other issues, Brenda Noyce, kidney stones and what have you. And Marianne Rossi, we haven't seen her on here. I know she was trying to get the strength back in her legs in rehab. And there's so many other needs here. Carla as well, I remember, had some issues. And Adam Davidson, he seems to be doing better. Keep Adam in your prayer. And Ted Richards, haven't heard from him in a dog's age. And all our regular family that wasn't here tonight, we certainly remember you. Todd and a few others that we haven't heard from in a while, like John Jeffries and what have you. I have to remember, not everybody is retired, not everybody is retired. Jody is working. She joins us after her shift is over. Casey Kasem was great in Detroit, all over the globe with American Top 40. It was an easier thing to do because he had researchers that put a script together, right? He put a script together for Casey, and Casey would look at it and he would edit it out, and then he would go into a studio and he would read the script, one song after another. He never heard the music. He never talked up a song. He just did the script and changed it, added to it, ad-libbed around it, whatever he wanted to do. He was Casey Kasem. And then a master engineer would come in and he would take the vocal tracks, and he knew just when to start the record so that when Casey, it's jumped up to number 37 on the charts this week. It's Jackie Blue from the Ozark Mountain Daredevils. He would stop talking and they would start singing. That's a master engineer that makes the DJ who never really heard the song sound like he's sitting there playing the that's how Bruce did it with Cruisin' America and what have you. And then later voice tracking would come in, which was something similar to that, where you could tape a 5-hour show in like an hour and 10-15 minutes just by doing vocals, and it would all go into a computer and it would shuffle it for you. The magic of radio. So there you go. I can't answer a question if I don't know what you're talking about, or it could be somebody else. It just got to be so wild. Watching the Billy Joel documentary, it just got to be so wild because he was working his butt off when his second manager stole from him, and made some really bad investments. This is when he was with Christy Brinkley, Billy, and he found out he had far less money than he should have had and thought he had. He just wasn't paying attention. And then he sued the manager for $90 million, which he was never going to get, of course, because this guy had spent the money. That's when, midway through his career, Billy Joel had to go balls to the wall and tour till he was totally exhausted, to get that money back. And he got all the way up to $500 million. The magic of the Piano Man. Thank you for watching Worldwide Ramblings for this Saturday night. It is now into the 3rd of August. The 3rd of August. We'll be back Wednesday night, but we could do a pre-recorded video. So subscribe, please. If you haven't done it, subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the notification bell. That really helps me, all three. And I'll say a big God bless you. Have a terrific Sunday. I know it's well into Sunday in Australia. It's been a fun show, and I'll talk to you soon. Please pray for my partner, Karen. She'll be having her surgery, we think. Still not a final approval on this for August 15th. Bye-bye for now.